Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 6. In this module, you'll be writing your last short story for the short story assignments. In the next module, we will focus on revision and get some peer feedback on one of your stories. So we're done, after you're finished with this story, we're done writing new stories for right now. And after we're finished with revision, then we're moving on to poetry. So in this module, you can see your last story assignment is called the energy story, and I'll get to why it's called the energy story in a minute. Your reading assignments are to look at some sections in both textbooks on showing versus telling. So the main thing that we are focusing on here is this concept that a good writer will show something rather than telling us what happens. So basically, instead of like listing the things that are happening, they'll show it to us. And it can be pretty difficult to write like this. And so there's a lot of stuff in there. I'll probably try to add some more resources, maybe some videos as well, because it's actually one of the harder concepts when we're sitting down to identify what makes good reading versus like kind of bland reading. Typically it's the showing versus the telling. And so you might see that sometimes in as you're watching movies where you just feel like everything's being told to you rather than being shown to you. And you may have read books like this as well, where it just kind of feels like they're talking kind of down to you because you're too dumb to understand, versus showing us through like character action. And so this is one of the chapters that you'll look at, and just basically goes over some of the things that you can do in order to show rather than tell. And so it just gives you the different ideas, the verbs that you can use, the nouns that you can use, avoiding some adverbs, that kind of thing. And then you're going to practice this in two ways. The first way is through a discussion board, which I recommend doing this before you do the short story. That way you get a little bit of practice. But the discussion board's pretty simple. Basically, you're going to make 3 posts, and each one's going to have like a sentence or two that's real simple that just tell us something. So they should be just like, they can kind of be something that might set up a story, but think like, noun, verb, object, or something like that. Or descriptive or something like that. And so you would just have a real basic statement of telling. And then you're going to do 3 of those. And so you'll go down, you'll hit reply, and you'll say something like, he woke up early. And so as long as it's a real simple sentence, it should work just fine for this. And then you're going to hit reply. It's going to be there in the thread that students will be able to see, and you're welcome to use mine now that I just created one for the test student. And so these are just some examples. And then underneath, you're going to choose 2. And so once you've chosen one, you'll hit reply. And if you want to, if it something that you might want to think about for a little bit, that's fine. You can always hit reply and kind of claim it. And then, when you hit reply, it'll show that someone is replied to it. And so when students see it on their feed, they'll see that there's been a reply to it, and so they can't choose that one. Each statement can only have one person writing a response to it. That's why you're posting 3. If everybody posts 3, then there'll be a lot to choose from. But that's anticipating that some students won't actually post an original post. And so then there will hopefully be some extras on there for people to choose. So you're going to choose 2 then to do the response to. And in your response, you're going to write out a paragraph that tells this situation instead of showing, or that shows the situation instead of telling it. So when you show something, you're not going to directly state what we should be seeing. Instead, you're going to describe the situation. So in this case, I chose the child was angry, and you have to think about, like, what does a child look like when they're angry? What sort of actions do they do? And so I just described basically, oh, this is a girl, obviously, but I have sons, so they act the same way. So anyway, that's just kind of described, and this is maybe a little bit shorter than what you'll do. I'm thinking like 7 sentences for your paragraph, because it's a good sized paragraph. And so you'll write out a paragraph that shows the statement rather than tells it. And so the statement itself won't show up at all in your paragraph. So just kind of something to think about. And basically, just like other things that you've done in this class that are not the formal, story assignments, or in the case of next, we'll do poetry assignments. This kind of assignment is graded basically whether or not you did it, whether did you meet the minimum requirements, did you, as long as you aren't responding to a post that somebody has already responded to, then you'll get full credit for it. So this is really just practice. So once you've done that, then you'll be ready to sit down and actually write the story itself. So the energy story is a story that is requiring more showing than telling. So again, you're going to practice this concept of making sure that you are holding the reader's interest without like directly stating or listing what happens in the story. So you have a believable original plot line. It does not matter how many characters you have. You get to create all of that. The point of view, as long as it's consistent, you can choose that. The main part of this, so the thing that you're really is going to be the challenge, is this idea that you're maintaining energy to the end of the story. So you want to maintain energy and make sure that you have like a twist ending. So we wanted a dramatic, unexpected twist at the end, so that we're leading up to something happening, and then you just kind of turn it on its head for the reader. So often we maybe withhold some information, and then, at the end, spring it on the reader, so that suddenly the situation is different from what we expected. But that allows us to maintain the drama there for the reader, so that they're anticipating what happens, and we're really describing it for the reader. And then at the end, maybe the ending is the opposite of what they might expect to happen. So that twist ending is going to be a little bit of a challenge. You want to make sure it's a full story, though, beginning, middle, and end, just like we've done before. You want to, make sure that you're having full story, however long it takes you to write it. Sometimes these stories are a little bit shorter because there's a lot of that description to provide that dramatic twist at the end, but there may be less time spent on like really developing the characters. So you may find that this story is maybe a little shorter than the other ones that you have written. But then that last part of the module is to turn in the story. So you want to make sure that you get that fully done, and you've edited and proofreaded it, and then turn it in. And that will be our last story that you turn in. Like I said, next module, we're going to start in on revision. So if you have any questions, make sure that you send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.